Would like to use them at any time tonight. There's one down the hall. It's straight out there. That's the boys' bathroom. It's on the left. Once you go out down the hall. And then there's the girls' bathroom is on the hall going this way. It's on the right side. So yeah. So I just like to introduce our class, our group already. Just to give you guys a brief history of them. They got their parts a month ago, exactly. So they've only had 4 weeks to put together this play. They had 2 weeks to memorize their lines, and they're pretty much awesome. This is a really tough play to put together. So our group is pretty much awesome. So you guys can. Also, to get you guys started on the play, I don't know if you guys have seen in front of being Ernest, but just to give you an outline, there's this man named John, or Jack, and he creates a brother so that, named Ernest, and his brother lives in the town, while he lives in the country. John lives in the country. So he creates his brother so that he can go visit the town whenever he likes. So he's living like this double life so that he can have fun while he's being serious in the country and having fun in town. So this play is just about all the crazy things that happen when you make up people to, yeah. So yeah, so welcome and let's welcome our, yeah.
I'm sorry for that, for your sake. I don't play the piano accurately. Anyone can play the piano accurately. But I play with wonderful expression. As far as the piano is concerned, sentiment is my forte. I keep it science for life.
Yes, sir.
And speaking of the science of life, have you got the cucumber sandwiches cut for Lady Bracknell yet?
Yes, sir.
That will do, Lady. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ernest Worthing, sir.
Ah, my dear Ernest, what brings you up to town?
Oh, pleasure, pleasure. What else should we be on anywhere? Eating as usual, I see, Algie.
I believe it is customary in polite society to take some slight refreshment at 5 o'clock. Where have you been since last Thursday?
Oh, in the country.
What on earth do you do there?
When one is in the town, one amuses oneself. And when one is in the country, one amuses other people. It is excessively boring.
And who are the people you amuse?
Oh, neighbors. Neighbors.
Got nice neighbors in your part of Shropshire.
Perfectly horrid. Never speak to one of them.
However, you must amuse them. By the way, Shropshire is your county, is it not?
Eh? Shropshire? Oh, yes, of course. Hello, white cucumber sandwiches. Why such reckless and extravagance for one so young? Who's coming?
Why, merely Aunt Augusta and Gwendolyn.
Oh, perfect. It's delightful.
Yes, that is all very well. But I'm afraid Aunt Augusta won't quite approve of your being here.
May I ask why?
My dear fellow, the way you flirt with Gwendolyn is perfectly disgraceful. It is almost as bad as the way Gwendolyn flirts with you.
I am in love with Gwendolyn. I have come up to town expressly to propose to her.
I thought you said you would come up for pleasure. I call that business.
How utterly unromantic you are, Algie.
There is nothing romantic about a definite proposal. It is very romantic to be in love, but there is nothing so romantic about proposing. Why, one may be accepted. One usually is, I'm told. Then the excitement is all over. The very essence of romance is uncertainty. If I ever get married, I'll certainly try to forget the fact.
I have no doubt about that, dear Algie. The divorce court was specially invented for people whose memories are so curiously constituted.
Oh, there's no need speculating on that subject. Divorces were made in heaven. Please don't touch the cucumber sandwiches. They are ordered specially for Aunt Augusta.
But you've been eating them all the time.
That is quite a different matter. She's my aunt. Have some bread and butter. The bread and butter is for Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn is devoted to bread and butter.
And very good bread and butter it is too.
My dear fellow, you need not eat it as if you were going to eat it all. You behave as if you were married to her already. You are not married to her already, and I don't think you ever will be.
May I ask why?
Well, in the first place, girls never marry the men they flirt with. Girls don't think it right.
Well, that is nonsense.
It isn't. It is a great truth. It accounts for the extraordinary number of bachelors one sees nowadays. In the second place, I don't give my consent.
Your consent.
My dear fellow, Gwendolyn is my first cousin. And before I allow you to marry her, you should have to clear up this whole question of Cecily.
Cecily? What on earth do you mean, Algie? What do you mean by Cecily? I don't know anyone by the name of Cecily.
All should be made clear momentarily, my dear Ernest. Bring me the cigarette case Mr. Worthing left in the smoking room the last time he died.
Yes, sir.
You mean to say you've had my cigarette case all this time? I wish to goodness you had let me know. I've been writing frantic letters to Scotland Yard about it, and very nearly offering a large reward.
I wish you would offer one. I happen to be more than usually hard up.
There's no good offering a large reward now that the thing is found.
That may be, but makes no matter, for now that I look at the thing, I find it isn't yours at all.
Of course it's mine. You've seen it with me 100 times. And you have no right whatsoever to read what is written inside. Very ungentlemanly thing to read a private cigarette case.
Yes, this isn't your cigarette case. This cigarette case is a present from someone of the name of Cecily. And you said you didn't know anyone of that name.
Well, if you really want to know, Cecily happens to be my aunt.
Your aunt?
Yes, charming lady she is, who lives at Tunbridge Wells.
Yes, but why does your aunt call herself Little then, if she's your aunt who lives in Tunbridge Wells? From little Cecily was her fondest love.
My dear fellow, what on earth is there in that? Some ants are tall, and some ants are less than tall. That's merely a matter that an ant should be allowed to decide for herself. You seem to think that every aunt should be exactly like your aunt. That's absurd. Just give it back to me, Algie.
Yes, but why does your small aunt who lives in Tunbridge Wells call you her uncle? From little Cecily with her fondest love to her dear Uncle Jack. Now, there's no objection, I admit, to an aunt being a small aunt. But my aunt, no matter what her size may be, should call her own nephew her uncle. I can't quite make out. Besides, your name isn't Jack at all, it's Ernest.
It isn't Ernest. It's Jack.
You have always told me it was Ernest. I have introduced you to everyone as Ernest. You answer to the name of Ernest. You look as if your name was Ernest. You are the most earnest-looking person I ever saw in my life. From your cards, look. Mr. Ernest Worthing, before the altar. I'll keep this as a reminder that your name is Ernest, in case you should ever try to deny it to me, or to Gwendolyn, or to anyone else ever again.
Well, my name is Ernest in the town and Jack in the country, and the cigarette case was given to me in the country.
Yes, but that still does not account for why your small aunt Cecily calls you her uncle. Come on, boy. You would better have the whole thing out at once. I may mention that I have always suspected you of being a confirmed and secret bunburyist.
Bunburyist? What on earth do you mean by bunburyist?
I'll reveal to you the meaning of that incomparable expression. The moment you tell me why you are Ernest in town and Jack in the country.
Well, produce my cigarette case first.
Here it is. Now, to produce you an explanation, I'm afraid it's improper.
My dear fellow, there's nothing improbable about my explanation at all. In fact, it's perfectly ordinary. Mr. Thomas Cardew, who adopted me when I was a little boy, made me in his will guardian to his granddaughter, Miss Cecily Cardew. Cecily, who addresses me as her uncle from motives of respect that you could not possibly appreciate. These are my place in the country under the care of her admirable governess, Miss Prism.
Where is that place in the country, by the way?
Oh, that is nothing to you, dear boy. You are definitely not going to be invited. I may tell you candidly, however, the place is not in Shropshire.
I suspected that. I have bum-married over Shropshire a town or two, and I could not find the place. Now go on. Tell me why you want Ernest in town and Jack in the country.
Well, my dear fellow, I doubt that you'll be able to understand my real motives. I'm serious enough. But the fact is, when one is placed in the position of guardian, one has to adopt a strict moral tone on all subjects. And as a strict moral tone can hardly be said to conduce either to one's health or to one's happiness, in order to get up to town, I've always pretended to have a younger brother by the name of Ernest, who gets into the most dreadful scripts. And that, my dear Algie, is the whole truth, pure and simple.
I was quite right in saying you were a bumberist. You are one of the most advanced bumberists I know.
What on earth do you mean?
You have invented a very useful younger brother called Ernest in order that you may be able to come up into the town as often as you like. I have invented an invaluable permanent invalid called Bunbury in order that I may be able to go down into the country as often as I choose. Bunbury is perfectly useful. In fact, if it weren't for his extraordinarily bad health, I wouldn't be able to dine with you tonight at Willis, for I really have been engaged to Aunt Augusta for more than a month.
But I haven't asked you to dine with me anywhere tonight.
I know. You are very careless about sending out invitations.
You had much better dine with your Aunt Augusta.
I haven't the smallest intention of doing anything of the kind. For, now that I know you to be a bumberist as well, I naturally want to talk to you about bumbers. I want to tell you the rules.
I'm not a bunburyist at all. If Gwendolyn accepts me, I'm going to kill my brother.
Oh.
In fact, I'm going to kill him in any case. Cecily is a little too much interested in him. It's rather cold. So I'm going to get rid of Ernest, and I strongly advise you to do the same with your invalid friend who has the absurd name.
Ah, there must be Aunt Augusta and Gwendolyn. Only relatives or creditors ever bring in that Wagnerian tone. Now, if I get her out of the way for 10 minutes, so that you may have the opportunity of proposing to Gwendolyn, may I dine with you tonight at Willis?
I suppose if you want to.
Yes, but you must be serious about it. I hate people who are not serious about meals. It is so shallow.
Lady Bracknell and Miss Fairfax.
Good afternoon, dear Algernon. I hope you're behaving very well.
I'm feeling very well, Aunt Augusta.
Yes, that is not quite the same thing. In fact, the two things rarely go together.
Dear me, you are smart.
I am always smart. Am I not, Mr. Worthing?
You are quite perfect, Miss Fairfax.
Oh, I hope I'm not that. It would leave no room for development. And I intend to develop in many directions.
Sorry if we are a little late, Algernon, but I was obliged to call on dear Lady Harbury. I've been to see her since her poor husband's death. I've never seen a woman so altered. She looks quite 20 years younger. Now a cup of tea, and one of those nice cucumber sandwiches you promised me.
Certainly, Aunt Augusta.
Gwendolyn, why don't you come sit here, Gwendolyn?
Thanks, Mama. I'm quite comfortable where I am.
Lane, where are the cucumber sandwiches?
There were no cucumbers at the market, sir. Not even for ready money.
No cucumbers.
Not even for ready money.
That will do, Lane. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I am dreadfully sorry, Aunt Augusta, that there were no cucumbers in the market, not even for ready money.
That's quite all right, Algernon. Gwendolyn and I had some crumpets with Lady Harbury earlier. She seems to me to be living entirely for pleasure now.
I hear her hair has turned quite gold from grief.
Certainly has changed its color, though from what cause I, of course, cannot tell. I have quite a treat for you tonight, Algernon. I'm sending you to meet Marion Faucon. She is a very nice young lady, and so attentive to her husband. It's a delight to watch them.
I'm afraid, Aunt Augusta, I shall have to give up the pleasure of dining with you. I have just received an urgent telegram from my dear friend, Mr. Bunbury. He's very ill again. They seem to think I should be with him.
It's strange. This Mr. Bunbury seems to have curiously bad health.
Yes, poor Bunbury is a dreadful invalid.
Well, I must say, I think it is high time this Mr. Bunbury made up his mind whether he's going to live or die. This shilly-shallying with the question is absurd. And I would be much obliged if you would ask him from me not to have a relapse on Saturday. For I rely on you to arrange my music for me. It is my last reception, and one wants something that will encourage conversation, particularly at the end of the season, when everyone has said practically whatever they had to say, which in most cases was probably not much.
I'll speak to Bunbury if he is still conscious. And I think I can assure you that he will not have a relapse this Saturday. But now, about the music, there must be something very particular. For if one plays good music, people don't talk. And if one plays bad music, you don't listen. But over and over the program that I've drawn up with you, if you will kindly come into the next room with me.
Thank you, Algernon. It's very thoughtful of you. Gwendolyn, you will accompany me.
Certainly, Mama.
Charming day it has been, Miss Fairfax.
Pray, don't speak to me about the weather, Mr. Worthing. When anybody speaks to me of the weather, I'm always quite certain that they mean something else. And that makes me so nervous.
I do mean something else.
I thought so. In fact, I am never wrong.
I would like to be allowed to take advantage of Lady Bracknell's temporary absence.
I would certainly advise you to do so. The law has a way of suddenly coming into a room that I've had to speak to her about.
Miss Fairfax, ever since I met you, I have admired you more than any other girl I've ever met since I met you.
I'm quite well aware of the fact, and I wish that in public, at any rate, you had been more demonstrative. For me, you've always had an irresistible fascination. Even before I met you, I was far from different from you. My idea has always been to love someone of the name of Ernest. The moment Algernon first mentioned to me that he had a friend called Ernest, I knew I was destined to love you.
Do you really love me, Gwendolyn?
Passionately.
Darling, you don't know how happy you've made me.
Ernest, my own Ernest.
But you don't say that you could love me if my name was Ernest.
But your name is Ernest.
Yes, but supposing it was something else. You don't mean to say you couldn't love me then. Personally, I don't much care for the name of Ernest. I don't think it suits me at all.
It suits you perfectly. It is a divine name. It has a music of its own. It produces vibrations.
Well, really, Gwendolyn, to speak quite casually, there are a lot of other much nicer names. I think Jack, for instance, is a charming name.
Jack? No. There is very little music in the name Jack, if any at all, indeed. It does not thrill. It produces absolutely no vibrations. I've known several Jacks, and they all were more than usually played. And besides, Jack is a notorious domesticity for John, and I pity any woman who wants to marry a man called John. She probably
must be married at once.
Married, Mr. Worthing.
Well, yes, you know that I love you, and you have led me to believe, Miss Fairfax, that you are not entirely indifferent to me.
Yes, but you are not proposed to me yet. Nothing has been said at all about marriage. The subject has not even touched upon.
Well, may I propose to you now?
I think it would be an admirable opportunity, and to leave you with any disappointment, I want to tell you quite frankly beforehand that I am fully determined to accept you.
Gwendolyn!
Yes, Mr. Worthing, what have you got to say to me?
Well, what I've got to say to you.
Yes, but you don't say it.
Gwendolyn, will you marry me?
Of course I will, darling. How long you been about it? I'm afraid you have had very little experience in how to propose.
But my own one, I've never loved anyone in the world but you.
Yes, but men often propose for practice. I know my brother Gerald does. All my girlfriends tell me so. What wonderfully blue eyes you have, Ernest. They are quite blue. I hope you will look at me just like that, especially when there are other people present.
Mr. Worthing! Right, sir, from the semi-recumbent position. It is most indecorous.
Mama, I'm expecting to retire. This is no place for you. Besides, Mr. Worthing has not quite finished yet.
Finished what, may I ask?
I'm engaged to be married to Mr. Worthing, Mama.
Pardon me, you are not engaged to anyone. When you do become engaged, I or Lord Bracknell, should his health permit him, will inform you of the fact. An engagement should come on a young girl as a surprise, pleasant or unpleasant. As the case may be, it is hardly something she should be allowed to arrange for herself. And I have some questions to put to Mr. Worthing. While I am making these inquiries, you, Gwendolyn, will wait for me below in the carriage.
Mama!
In the carriage, Gwendolyn!
Oh.
Gwendolyn, the carriage! You may take a seat, Mr. Worthing.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell. I prefer stand.
I feel bound to tell you, you are not down on my list of eligible young men. However, I'm quite ready to enter your name, should your answers be what a truly affectionate mother requires. Do you smoke?
Oh, yes, I must admit I smoke.
I'm glad to hear it. Every man should have an occupation of some sort. There are far too many idle men in London as it is. How old are you?
29.
A very good age to be married at. I have always been of an opinion that a man who wishes to get married should either know everything or nothing. Which do you know?
I know nothing, Lady Bracknell.
I'm glad to hear it. I do not approve of anything that tampers with natural ignorance. Ignorance is like a delicate, exotic fruit. Touch it, and the bloom is gone. The whole theory of modern education is radically unsound. Fortunately, in England at any rate, it produces no effect whatsoever. What is your income?
Between 7,000 and 8,000 a year.
In land or in investments?
In investment chiefly.
That is satisfactory. What between the duties expected of one during one's life and the duties exacted from one after one's death, land ceases to be either a profit or a pleasure. It gives one position, but prevents one from keeping it up. That is all that can be said about land.
Well, I own a country house with some land, of course, attached to it, about 1,500 acres. But I don't rely on that for my real income. In fact, as far as I can make out, the poachers are the only people who make anything out of it.
A country house. How many bedrooms? Well, that can be cleared up afterwards. You have a townhouse, I hope. You can hardly expect a girl like Gwendolyn with a simple, unspoiled nature to reside in the country.
Well, I own a house in Belgrave Square.
What number in Belgrave Square?
149. afraid I really don't know. Fact is, Lady Bracknell, I said that I had lost my parents, but it would be nearer the truth to say that my parents have lost me. I don't rightly know who I am by birth. I was found.
Found?
Yes, the late Mr. Thomas Cardew, a gentleman of a very charitable and kindly disposition, found me and gave me the name of Worthing because he happened to have a first-class ticket for Worthing in his pocket at the time. Worthing is a place in Sussex. It is a seaside resort.
And where did the charitable gentleman with the first-class ticket to the seaside resort find you?
In a handbag.
A handbag?
Yes, Lady Bracknell, a somewhat large, brown, leather handbag with handles to it. Ordinary handbag.
In what locality did this Mr. James Thomas Cardew find you?
In the cloakroom at Victoria Station.
The cloakroom at Victoria Station.
Yes, the Brighton one.
The line is immaterial, Mr. Worthing. I must say, I'm bewildered by what you've just told me. To be born, or at any rate read, in a handbag, whether it had handles or not, seems to show contempt for the ordinary decencies of family life, which remind one of the worst excesses of the French Revolution. I presume you know what that unfortunate movement led to? As for the particular locality of the handbag, the cloakroom at Victoria Station might serve to conceal a social indiscretion.
Well, then what would you advise me to do? I need hardly say I would do anything in the world to ensure Gwendolyn's happiness.
I would strongly advise you, Mr. Worthing, to try and acquire some relations as soon as possible. Try and find at least one parent of either sex before the season is quite over.
Well, I don't see how I could possibly manage to do that, Lady Bracknell. I can produce the handbag at any moment. It's in the dressing room at home. I really think that should satisfy you, Lady Bracknell.
Me? What has it to do with me? You can hardly expect that Lord Bracknell and I would allow our only daughter, a girl brought up with the utmost care, to marry into a cloakroom and form an alliance with a parcel. Good morning, Mr. Worthing.
For goodness sake, don't run that ghastly to an algae. How idiotic you are.
Did the golf all right, old boy? Did Gwendolyn refuse you? Oh, I'm terribly sorry about that. It is a way with her. She is always refusing people. It is most ill nature of her.
Gwendolyn is right as a trivet. As far as she is concerned, we are engaged. Her mother is perfectly unbearable. Never met such a Morgon.
Oh,
Not quite sure what a Morgon is like, but I'm quite sure that Lady Bracknell is one. In any case, she's a monster, without being a myth, which is rather unfair. Beg your pardon, Algie, I suppose I shouldn't talk about your aunt that way before you.
my dear fellow, I love hearing my relations with you. It is the only reason I put up with them. Relations, you see, are simply a whole pack of people who haven't the remotest knowledge of how to live, nor the slightest idea of when to die.
Well, that is nonsense.
It is not.
Well, I'm not going to argue about it. You always want to argue about things.
Because that is precisely what things were made for in the first place.
If I thought that, I'd shoot myself. But you don't think there's any chance that Gwendolyn might become like her mother in 150 years, do you, Algie?
All women become like their mothers. That's their curse. No man does. That's his. By the way, did you tell Gwendolyn the truth about your meeting Ernest in town and Jack in the country?
My dear fellow, the truth isn't quite the sort of thing one tells to a nice, sweet, fine
But what about your brother? What about your preachers?
girl. Before the week is out, I shall have gotten him. See, he died in Paris of epilepsy. Lots of people die of epilepsy quite suddenly, don't they?
Yes, but it's hereditary, my dear fellow. It's the sort of thing that runs in families. You had much better say a severe chill.
And you're sure a severe chill isn't hereditary or anything of the kind?
Of course it's not. But I thought you also said that your ward, Miss Cecily Cardew, was a little too interested in your brother, Ernest. Won't she feel terribly put out by his death?
Oh, makes no matter. Cecily is not a silly romantic girl, I'm glad to say. And I'm going to take care you never do see her. She's excessively pretty and only just 18.
Well, have you told Gwendolyn yet that you have an excessively pretty ward who's just 18?
Well, one doesn't just blurt these things out to people. Gwendolyn and Cecily are certain to be extremely great friends. In fact, I'll bet you anything you like that one half an hour after they have met, they'll be calling each other sister.
Women only do that when they've called each other a lot of other things first. Now, my dear fellow, if we want to get a good table at Willis, we'd better be leaving straight away. Do you know it is nearly 7?
Always nearly 7.
Miss Fairfax.
Gwendolyn? Upon my word!
Algie, kindly take her back. I have something very particular to say to Mr. Murphy.
Really? Gwendolyn, I don't think I can allow this.
Algie, you always adopt a strictly immoral attitude towards life. You are not quite old enough to do that yet.
My own darling.
Ernest, we may never be married. By the look of Mamma's face, I fear we never shall. But although she may prevent us from becoming man and wife, she cannot alter my eternal devotion towards you.
Gwendolyn!
Your romantic origin, as retold to me by Mamma with a pleasing comment, has naturally stirred the deeper fibers of my nature. Your Christian name has an irresistible fascination. The simplicity of your character makes you exquisitely incomprehensible to me. Your town address in the Albany I have. What is your address in the country?
The Manor House, Woolpin, Hertfordshire.
How long did you remain in town?
Till Monday.
Good. Algie, you may turn around now.
Thanks, I've turned around already.
You will let me see you to your carriage, my darling?
Certainly.
Lane? Grab some sherry, Lane.
Yes, sir.
Tomorrow, Lane, I'm going bumbering.
Very nice, sir.
Put out all the dress clothes, the smoking jackets, and the bombery suits.
Yes, sir.
Tomorrow's going to be a fine day, Lane.
Yes, sir.
Lane, you are a perfect pessimist.
I try to do my best, sir.
here, Cecil, is the diary that we all carry about with us.
Yes, but it usually chronicles things that haven't happened and could possibly have happened. I believe that memory is responsible for nearly all the 3-volume novels that Buddy sends us.
Do not speak slightly of the 3-volume novel, Cecily. I wrote one myself in younger days.
Did you really, Miss Prism? How wonderfully clever you are! I hope it did not end happily. I do not like novels that end happily. They depress me so much.
The good ended happily, and the bad unhappily. That is what fiction means.
I suppose so, but it seems very unfair. And was your novel ever published?
Alas, no. The manuscript, unfortunately, was abandoned. To your work, child, these speculations are profitless.
But I see I did Dr. Chasuble coming up through the garden.
Dr. Chasuble, this is indeed a pleasure.
And how are we this morning, Miss Prism? You all right, Chasuble?
Miss Prism has just been complaining of a slight headache. I think it would do her so much good to go on a slight stroll with you in the park, Dr. Chasuble.
Cecily, I haven't mentioned anything about a headache.
I know that, dear Miss Prism. I felt instinctively that you had a headache. Indeed, I was thinking about that and not about my German lesson when the rector came up.
I hope, Cecily, you aren't being inattentive.
Oh, I'm afraid I am.
That is strange. For if I were fortunate enough to be Miss Prism's pupil, I'd hang upon her lips. I spoke metaphorically. I drew my metaphor from the bees. Well, I must not disturb Egeria and your pupil any longer.
Egeria? My name is Letitia, Doctor.
Classically, merely a classical allusion, drawn from the pagan authors himself. Has Mr. Worthing returned from town yet?
We don't expect him until Monday afternoon.
He's not one of those whose sole aim is enjoyment. By all accounts, an unfortunate young man his brother seems to be. Yes, well, I do, Mrs.
Thank you, dear doctor. I will not go. I find I have a headache after all. Walk.
With pleasure, Miss Prism. With pleasure.
Cecily, you will study your political economy in my absence. Mr. Ernest Worthing has just driven out from the train station. He brought his luggage with him.
Mr. Ernest Worthing, B4, the Albany. Uncle Jack's brother. Did you tell him Mr. Worthing was in town?
Yes, miss. He seemed very much disappointed. But when I mentioned that you and Miss Prism were in the garden, he seemed very much anxious to speak with you for a moment privately.
Indeed. Pray, ask the gentleman to come out here. I suppose you had better ask the housekeeper about a room for him?
Yes, miss.
wicked at all, Cousin Cecily. You mustn't think I am wicked.
If you are not, then you've certainly been deceiving us all in a very inexcusable manner. I hope you have not been leading a double life, pretending to be wicked, but really being good all the time. That would be hypocrisy.
Oh, well, I have been rather reckless.
I'm glad to hear it.
In fact, now that you mention it, I have been very bad in my own small way.
I don't think you should be so proud of that. Though I'm sure it must have been very pleasant.
It is much pleasanter being here with you.
I don't see how you're here at all. Uncle Jack will be back till Monday afternoon.
That is a great disappointment. I have a business appointment on Monday morning that I am anxious to miss.
Couldn't you miss it anywhere but in London?
No, the appointment is in London.
I think you'd better wait till Uncle Jack arrives. I know he was wanting to talk to you about your emigrating.
About my what?
Your emigrating. Uncle Jack is sending you to Australia.
Australia? I'd soon die.
Well, Uncle Jack said at dinner on Wednesday night that you had the choice between this world, the next world, and Australia.
Well, the accounts I've received of Australia and the next world are not particularly encouraging. This world is good enough for me, Cousin Cecily.
Yes, but are you good enough for it?
I'm afraid I'm not that. That is why I would have you reform me. You might make that your mission, Cousin Cecily.
I'm afraid I have no time this afternoon.
Then would you mind me reforming myself this afternoon?
It's rather quixotic of you, but I think you should try.
Thank you. I feel better already.
You're looking a little worse.
That is because I'm hungry.
Oh, how thoughtless of me! I should have remembered that when one is going to lead an entirely new life, one requires regular and wholesome meals. Won't you come in?
Thank you. I don't have a buttonhole first. I never have any appetite unless I have a buttonhole first.
A white rose?
No, I do have a pink rose.
But why?
Because you are like a pink rose.
I don't think it can be right for you to talk to me like that. Miss Prism never says such things to me.
Then Miss Prism is a short-sighted old lady. You are the prettiest girl I ever saw.
Miss Prism says that all good looks are a snare.
They are a snare that every sensible man would love to encounter.
Oh, I don't think I should care to catch a sensible man. I wouldn't know what to talk to him about.
That's good, because I'm nothing like one.
Intermission. Empty
I think we can start whenever. Hold on just a sec, let me open this page.